throwing out the only state conviction against Jose Inez Garcia Zarate, who's been at the center of the Kate Steinle case that sparked the national sanctuary city controversy. 32-year-old Kate Steinle was walking on a pier in San Francisco in July 2015 when she was hit by a bullet. Authorities accused Garcia Zarate of murder. His defense claimed he picked up a gun that happened to be wrapped in a T-shirt and fired it accidentally. Garcia Zarate was in the U.S. illegally at the time of the shooting and had reportedly been deported back to Mexico numerous times in the past. Well, tonight, a state appeals court overturned his conviction on the gun charge, all because of instructions that were or were not given to the jury. What comes next? Let's talk about it with Democratic strategist Kevin Walling and the executive director of Turning Point USA, Charlie Kirk. Welcome to you both.
Shannon, good to be with you.
Thank you for having me.
All right, I want to read some of the reporting from CBS San Francisco talking about the judge's decision, or the court's decision tonight, saying the First District Court of Appeal, and this is a state court in California, overturned the gun conviction because the judge failed to give the jury the option of acquitting Garcia Zarate on the theory he only possessed the weapon for a moment. Garcia Zarate said he unwittingly picked up the gun wrapped in a T-shirt and it fired accidentally. Charlie?
Look, if you actually read the defense, I just find it so hard to believe that he just happened to find this gun. Irregardless of that, I think first we have to just look at one of the bigger points, which is this individual was deported 5 times. 5 times. And if he was not in the country, Kate Steinle would still be alive. And I just think it's just a horrible reminder, and my heart goes out to all the angel moms and angel families out there that have experienced so many crimes for people that should have never been in the country at all. And look, there is another opportunity to retry this case again, and let's see if the district attorney and the prosecution will continue to do that. I doubt that they'll have the political will, because this is just such a hotly contested issue. It involves immigration, it involves a lot of different topics, gun laws and as well. And I just don't know if they're going to have the political will. And I just think this is a total miscarriage of justice through and through.
Yeah, as you said, we're told tonight that the San Francisco district attorney is considering options because it will be up to them about whether they go back after this again. Tony Serra, who's the attorney who's representing Garcia Zarate on the gun charge, said this, says the prosecution does have the prerogative of going again. It's going to be a big potential decision on what they're going to do. And Kevin, you heard Charlie outline several of the things that are involved here. You've got gun issues, you've got immigration, you've got sanctuary cities. Do you think, especially in California, that authorities there will actually want to retry this case? Well, what happens next?
Yeah, I sure hope so, Shannon. And I know there's also a federal track involved as well, not just a state-based track as well. And you'll have federal immigration officials and ATF also handling this because, as you rightly point out at the outset, this individual was deported 5 times, has been convicted of 7 felonies in the history of his time in this country. So there's no reason, as I agree with Charlie, that he should have ever been in this country. And Kate would be alive had he not been allowed back in and not detained and then released by the city of San Francisco. So I actually agree with Secretary Hillary Clinton during the campaign, who said this is a problem that the city of San Francisco released him to the public. That should never have happened. And what we need to do is push for comprehensive immigration reform so we've got more agents on the border, so we have more detention facility support, so that something like this never happens again where this guy's released into the general public.
Yeah, you mentioned the federal track as well. So now in January, he's still facing federal gun charges and charges of being in the country illegally. So that's a completely separate trial. Here is what his attorney said about that back in January. Remember, he was acquitted on charges of killing her, of anything related to homicide, but then the federal gun charges kicked in. Here's what his attorney said then.
It's rarely done. I mean, for the federal government to come back 2 years later and say, oh, by the way, we're going to charge you with federal gun possession because the jury acquitted you and because the president was upset with the verdict. Yeah, it's unprecedented.
So, Charlie, still facing these federal gun charges, but his attorney suggesting it's all political.
Yeah, I don't buy that for a minute. I mean, look, an individual is dead Someone is dead, so it doesn't matter the time period, or it doesn't matter what they think the political motivations are. They're trying to overly politicize this to try to win points in the media and try to make this more binary. And you could just see right here, we have agreement. I mean, you have a conservative and a liberal on a panel that agrees that this is a total miscarriage and justice. I will add, however, that this is one of the main reasons it actually added to the point that maybe we need a barrier or a wall on the southern border, and the Border Patrol is actually asking for it to make the job easier, that individuals like this cannot come into the country repeatedly. Obviously, the current status quo is not working, and the porous southern border allows individuals like this to come in without any sort of restriction. 7 felonies and 5 illegal entries into the United States, and Kate Steinle would be alive if we had our act together on the southern border, and I'm very proud that the president is doing everything he can to solve that issue.
Well, we'll watch both these tracks to see whether the state officials try him again on these charges, and of course the guns and federal charges in January, that trial coming up. Kevin and Charlie, thank you both tonight. Good to have you.
Have a good holiday weekend.
You too. Up next, a very high-profile Twitter hack